This week, the National Football Museum is hosting lots of talks and storytelling from brilliant children's authors for their annual Children's Writing Festival. And my name is Tom Palmer, and I'm a children's author. I'm the author of various series like Football Academy, Foul Play, and also the Roy of the Rovers series. And this is Roy. Rocky was with me earlier, but she's not here at the moment, unfortunately. Anyway, welcome to my Children's Football Writing Festival author talk. First of all, I want to talk about why reading about football is fun. For me, I didn't like reading when I was younger. What got me into reading was my mum getting me to read about football. She got me reading newspapers, magazines and books about football, and that is what made me into a reader. And I think the thing is, reading is fun when you're reading about what you're interested in. I'm interested in football, therefore reading about football is fun for me. And I read about lots of different stuff now and really enjoy reading about football. Anyway, I'm going to read you a short excerpt from Roy of the Rovers, but this is actually Rocky of the Rovers, because this is now, every other book in the Roy of the Rovers series is going to be narrated by Rocky, because she's as equally important a character as her brother here, Roy. I'm just going to read you a couple of minutes from the beginning of Rocky of the Rovers. Rocky Race's ability to predict the future had been improving in recent months. It was weird, but it also made perfect sense. Since she'd started playing in a proper organised football team, she understood the game of football much better. So much so, she could imagine what was going to happen next, or even 2 or 3 things that might happen from any moment in the game. And the more Rocky Race played the game at a high level, the more naturally that understanding came to her. Rocky studied her captain, Fionn Guthrie's position on the pitch. As the ball came looping over the centre circle towards her, Rocky was so single-minded about the game, it was like there was nothing else going on in the world, in her life, other than the trajectory of the ball. Football was an obsession for her, a passion. In a state of 100% focus, Rocky foresaw the game's future once she took control of the ball. Fionn would drift wide, finding space on the far touchline. Rocky would play in a high ball too high for Fionn to control with her feet or chest, so Fionn would rise above all the challenges from the surprised Hebden FC players, head it back to Rocky, who would now be unmarked in the centre circle. Then Fionn would sprint towards the 2 out-of-position defenders towards the goal, just as Rocky slid a perfectly weighted pass into her. Sowerby Football Club with the best women's team in Manchester and the country beyond. This was thanks in no small part to the partnership of Fionn Guthrie and Rocky Race, their 2 star players. Sowerby had enjoyed an astonishing season in which, coming from nothing, they had risen to find themselves part of the football pyramid, a structure of leagues that led directly to the WPL, the English Women's Premier League. And that's the beginning of the story, and this is the beginning of Rocky's career as a professional footballer. And there's going to be much more books to do with Rocky, which is good news for me because I'm really interested in the women's game. I've been abroad to watch England play in Holland, England women play in Holland, and it's a football that I really enjoy, and I feel it's really important. If I'm going to write about boys playing football, I write about girls playing football as well. And that brings me to a challenge I'd like to give to you. So this is a short writing and reading task, really, relating to the excerpt that I've helped. I base my characters on real people, so I read biographies and autobiographies of footballers. For instance, when I was writing this, I read Eni Aluko's book, and that is a really good book about being a footballer, and she talks about the recent development of the women's game in England, and I really enjoyed it, and it helped me develop my character. So what I'd like you to do is to find a biography or an autobiography of a footballer. It could be a book, or it could be just an interview in a newspaper or online, and to read that and find something in it that you could make into a story of your own. So read it, and if you're inspired by it, think, how can I make this into a story of my own, and to write your own story. So good luck, and be sure to share how you get on social media, and feel free to include the Twitter handle at Football Museum or at Tom Palmer Author, which is me. You can find out more about the Children's Football Writing Festival activities over at nationalfootballmuseum.com. And we really hope you enjoy the rest of the football. And the museum is looking forward to inviting people back there soon. Thank you very much for listening, and all the best to you and your families. Thanks a lot.